Yo, what's good YouTube? It's Redox here, and today we're gonna be talking about the nations once again. This is gonna be part 2 of my nations guide video. The first part I talked about the starting commander, and this time I'm gonna be talking about the unit, or sorry, the nations bonus. Which nations come with good bonuses, which bonuses are just average or just not that great. We're gonna be talking about all of that stuff. So let's take a look at the first nation. It's gonna be the Romans, and 3 bonuses. They get the infantry defense increased by 5%, troops march speed increases by 5%, and food gathering speed increases by 10%. The first bonus, the infantry defense increases by 5%, is good, of course, because it's going to boost the defense of your infantry. Plus, their unique unit is the Legion, which is an infantry unit. So if you build a lot of legions and you have an infantry commander, and you're going to put a lot of legions in the army, or you're going to put a lot of infantry units into that commander, then this 5% boost is going to boost that army. That large portion of the army will get that 5% defense increase, which is great. So I would say that first bonus is good for sure. And then the troops march speed increases by 5%. I think is the best one, because march speed is universally important in this game for whatever you do, not just for military offenses or reinforcing defenses, or reinforcing other cities. It's also important for when you're gathering resources. The resources might be too far away, so you've got to march to that place quicker. Food gathering speed increased by 10%. Honestly, is not that important, just because food is not the hardest resource to get. You'll be harvesting a lot of food. You'll be gathering a lot of food as well, which is good. I mean, it'll quicken that process. But later in the game, other resources like stone is going to be more important. And I think gathering stone quicker is a better bonus than gathering food. So I would say the Romans have 2 useful above average bonuses, and then 1 is just kind of average. Moving on to the next one, the Germans. Cavalry attack increased by 5%, troops training speed increases by 5%, action point recovery speed increases by 10%. First bonus, of course, great. It's going to boost your cavalry attack. So if you have cavalry commanders that give bonuses to cavalry units, Germany is great. Plus they have the unique cavalry unit, the Teutonic Knight. So that's a cavalry unit as well. So that unit will get the 5% bonus. So first bonus is definitely great if you're going to specialize on horses. Second bonus, troops training speed increased by 5%. Once again, that's a good bonus as well, because your army is going to build quicker, obviously, when you train your units. So you can replenish your army, or you can increase the army size 5% quicker. And later on in the game, your units will take a longer time to build. So that 5% will be more important later on in the game. In the early game, it doesn't matter as much, because the troops in tier 1 and tier 2 are not, they don't take too long to build. But when you start hitting the tier 3 and tier 4, that's when the troops start to take like 8 hours to a whole day to build. So that 5% increase in troop training speed will definitely help you. And then the action point recovery speed increased by 10%. That's a good bonus to have if you're very active on your phone. So if you're checking this game a lot, and you're attacking barbarians constantly, because when you attack barbarians, that's when you use action point, or when you attack certain other neutral places, that also uses action points. So if you're a very active player that likes to attack a lot, especially you can train your generals faster by attacking more barbarians, because you'll have action point recovery a lot quicker than other nations. So it is a good bonus to have. I would say all 3 of these bonuses are pretty good, but it really depends on your playstyle. So if you don't have a lot of time to play this game, to be honest, that third bonus, the action point recovery speed, is not going to be that helpful, because you're going to have like maxed out action point, which is not being used. So there's nothing else to increase. So it won't even really function, to be honest, if you're not actually active on the phone. I mean, it's the same. I guess it's the same. You could say the same thing for the Romans. If you're not active, you're not gathering food, then you're not really using that bonus. So the third bonus, once again, is, in my opinion, it depends on the player. So the first 2 bonuses, definitely good. The third one, it depends on your playstyle. Okay, the next one is Britain. Archer attack increased by 5%. Great. And then wood gathering speed increased by 10%. That's average. I would say the wood gathering once again is the same as the food. So you start off with food and wood. You can gather both of those resources right off the bat in the game. Like I said, I think gathering stone will be more pivotal, more important later on. Stone is just harder to get compared to food and wood. And gold is harder to get as well. You'll also get gold and then you'll get another resource after that. But yeah, wood is very average once again. And then allied garrison capacity increased by 20%. That is really only good for if you're in a dedicated alliance that competes a lot in alliance wars, fighting each other. Attack if she's the. I mean, I guess if she was also the. No, I guess this is only for the city. My bad. Yeah, so this is only for your city. So if your city is being attacked, then you can increase your garrison by 20%. So more reinforcements can come. But if you're not in a very highly active alliance, it really doesn't matter. So once again, it's very situational. The third bonus really is just it's very situational, and I would say it's probably one of the worst nation bonuses, just because most of us are not gonna be in those top tiered alliances. If you are in one of those alliances, I mean, and if you get attacked that much, then that's really when it comes to in effect. But if your city doesn't get attacked, it really doesn't matter, and I think it's definitely one of the worst nation bonuses. The next nation we'll take a look at, of course, is the France nation. Troops health increased by 2%. That's pretty good because it will affect the entire army composition. Doesn't matter if it's infantry, horses, or archer or whatnot. Everybody's health will go up by 2%. Stone gathering speed increases by 10%, which is, I'd say that's definitely the best gathering speed bonus. Once again, situational, because if you're not very active and you're not gathering a lot, then you're not really using it. Hospital healing speed increased by 10%. Very situational once again. If you're not attacking a lot, if you get attacked, your troops get injured, you have to heal your units. And having a large hospital capacity is important so you can store a lot more injured troops, I guess, at one time. Because if you can't store, if your hospital runs out of space, the injured troops will just die. They'll just die. You can't ever recover them. But I've actually never run into a situation in this game so far where that many units have been injured and my hospital ran out of space. Like, I've never run into a situation where my hospital did run out of space due to that problem. So I'm actually going to say France has one good ability for sure that's permanent, the troop health. And then the stone gathering is the best gathering ability, but just like any other gathering abilities, if you're not gathering stone, it's never gonna really take an effect. And then the third one, hospital healing speed, increases by 10%. I would say it's not the worst one. It's definitely better than the British garrison ability, but I would say it's average. Later on in the game, the healing speed does matter, just because healing. You'll lose more troops later in the game when you field bigger armies. So for sure, it will matter more important. It will matter. It will be more. Your troops will heal faster later in the game, which is good. But early to mid game, I don't think it has a big impact. It's more of a if you play this game for that long, that kind of thing. Okay, Spain. Cavalry defense increased by 5%. Gold gathering speed increased by 10%. Troop load increased by 10%. First bonus is good. You get defense by 5%. But I would say cavalry is more towards the offensive attacking side. Infantry is more on the defensive side. So honestly, cavalry getting a defensive side means it will survive longer, but I think having a 5% attack boost on the cavalry is better. So I'm going to have to say the German, because if you see the German nation, right, cavalry attack by increased by 5%. They both get, Germany and Spain both gets a cavalry unit, but Spain has a defensive boost. I'd rather go with the German side because cavalry is meant for attacking. They have better offensive capabilities than defensive capabilities. Defensive bonuses are good on infantry. So I'm going to have to say the German beats them on this one, although this bonus is good. I'm not saying it's bad, but why would you choose Spain? I mean, I guess you would choose Spain for the gold gathering speed if you really wanted that. Once again, very situational if you're not, and also you can't gather gold until a certain town hall level, like I think it's 10 or 11. So that's like mid game, and which means you won't be using gold at all in the beginning, period. And then troop load increased by 10%, which means you can take more loot when you attack cities. You can hold more loot by 10%, or you can, when you gather resources, you'll hold 10% more resources than other armies can. So I would say Spain is, once again, I'm just really, I have a very negative bias against Spain. I'm not a fan of Spain at all. Their starting commander, not amazing. Once again, I really don't like the starting commander. Plus, I don't like the bonuses that it gets. Um, it's just, I think except for the cavalry defense increase and the troop load is good as well. Actually, I guess I mean I have to say Spain is okay. Okay, actually I'm gonna reword everything. I'm gonna reevaluate the way I used to see Spain. So although I don't have a negative bias against Spain, I'm gonna say that the cavalry defense increased by 5% and the troop load increased by 10% are good bonuses. Later in the game, it will matter more for the troop load increase for sure. So like being able to hold 10% more resources later in the game with a bigger army means you can hold way more resources. But it's situational. Like if you're not actively attacking, looting, if you're not gathering resources as much, it doesn't matter because you're not using that 10% once again. But I mean, it's all situational. I would say okay. I would say Spain does have two good bonuses. Not really sure about the gold gathering speed. It's that one really. If you're not gathering gold, you're not using it. Like I said, and you can't even use it in the early game. The next one, China. Troops defense increased by 2%. That's good because your entire troop composition will get a defense increase. Resource production increased by 10%. And building speed increased by 2%. I like the building speed increase by 2% as well because, of course, building quicker means you're going to progress quicker, and that's the whole point of this game. You want to level up your cities as quick as possible. Resource production increased by 10%. That, I think, is more important later on in the game. I think it is a good bonus, but I would say it's like slightly better than the gathering bonus because it affects all resources. But it doesn't have a huge impact in the early game. You really have to level those farms, stone, quarries, mines. You have to really level those resource buildings up. And so I believe the 10% bonus is really going to matter way later in the game. And most of the times you're going to rely on actually gathering resources to gain like a lot of resources at one time. So the resource production increase, I think, will only really matter later into the game. But regardless, China has overall a good balanced bonus in every field, I would say. Japan. Troop attack increased by 2%. Good, because if you're going to be an offensive player, it's going to increase your attack. Scout march speed increased by 30%, and troops training capacity increased by 5%. The troops training capacity increasing by 5%, that's good as well, so you can train more units at once. And this game is all about numbers. Having a larger army means you get to have that number advantage. So a larger army usually wins battles. When you factor in other stuff, it can be different, but this game is about numbers. You want to constantly train your units. So training more units right off the bat is just going to give you more advantage. Scout march speed increased by 30%. That's good as well, but it doesn't really matter in the early game. It's good for when you're scouting enemy bases or neutral sites really far away, or exploring maps that are, or fog of war really far away. It speeds up that time, but there are times, once again, if you're not proactive in the game, it's all situational. If you're not going to be on the game that much, once a day or something, then you're not going to be scouting at all. Their scouts are just going to sit on your base. You have to constantly order your scouts. You can't. The thing is, I wish they had an auto scout system in this game, but like where the scouts will just keep scouting nonstop until you make them stop. But there's no auto scout feature, so you have to constantly log back into the game to send out the scouts. So I think the scout march speed increased by 30% really only matters if you're a very proactive player. Regardless, the attack increase and the training capacity increase is a good overall bonus to the nation. And then Korea finally. Archer defense increased by 5%, which is all right. Hospital capacity increased by 10%, and research speed increases by 10%. So the research speed increase is a good bonus because definitely you'll want to research a lot in your academy, so your army gets stronger. Everything else you can research a lot quicker. Well, it's not a lot quicker, but just slightly quicker. I think they could actually increase that 2% bonus a little bit higher, maybe 3% to 3%. But anyways, the archer defense increase by 5% is good, but archers are mainly offensive as well. I feel like the most offensive units in this game are infantry. The offensive side, it's gonna be archers and cavalry. Archers do better if they have a higher attack. But regardless, I mean, the defense bonus, you can't really complain about it. It's still good. And the capacity increasing by 10%, I think definitely that's one of the worst nation bonuses as well in this game. Rarely have I ran into, I don't think I've actually, it's not even rarely, I don't think I've ever run into a situation where my hospital was full. So getting that extra space does nothing. I really think that's one of the worst bonuses, along with the Britain's 20% increase in garrison. I think those two are one of the worst bonuses in this game. They really don't have like any major impact at all. So when it comes to the best nation with the best bonuses, it's hard to say. I mean, I would say Roman has 2 good bonuses. Germany has 2 good bonuses at least as well. Britain also has, I would say Britain has, I mean, the attack increase is great for sure. But the wood and ally garrison is not that great. So I would say Britain has 1 good bonus that's good all the time. France, I would say 1 to 2. You know, I'll say 2 good bonuses for France. And then Spain, I'll say 2 as well, actually. Well, 1 to 2. Yeah, I would say Spain and France are kind of like on the same level. Definitely not the worst bonuses, but definitely it's not like I don't think they have the best bonuses either. China, I think overall has one of the best nation bonuses. I think China is, I think there's a reason why China is a popular nation in this game. You'll see a lot of players choosing China because China has one of the best nation bonuses. I'll have to say that for sure. And then Japan has one of the best offensive nation bonuses as well. So you'll see Japan quite a bit as well. You'll see, I think the most popular nations in this game are Japan, China, and Roman. So when it comes to like the best overall nation and all that, I would have to say China, Japan, and Roman. I would say those 3 are the best nations to choose from, in my opinion. And depending on your playstyle, you can choose one of them. The other nations, I would say they're okay. They're depending on your playstyle. Once again, you could choose the other ones. Yeah, depending on how you want to play it, but you'll never go wrong if you go with China, Japan, or Roman. I'll just tell you guys that right off the bat. And in my opinion, the worst nation is Korea and Spain. I might have a negative bias against Korea and Spain, but I've played this game long enough to know that these 2 nations are just kind of very, very, very average. Nothing very special about them. And their bonuses are nothing too spectacular either. Also, their starting commanders are not that great. There's really I don't see that much benefit as to choosing Spain or Korea. I think they're the worst, to be honest. And then the average to above average nations are Germany, Britain, and France. So there you go, guys. This is my nations video. I'll finish it off here. I'll come back with more Rise of Civilizations videos. Please leave me feedback, comments, likes, and all of that. Let me know what videos you want to see. I'll probably do a new playthrough as well. And I hope you guys are enjoying this game yourselves. I'll see you guys next time.